I've got the JP poll week 8 edition right here. And we all know that these are not rankings. These are power ratings. And we all know that it doesn't matter that I tell you that because the casuals will come for me. And they always come for me regardless. But this week, based on what I'm about to show you, this stuff, if you don't understand how a power rating works, will make no sense. And I'm going to show you why in very short order. So, I am going to count on you guys who understand how this thing works this week more than ever because I cannot fight this battle on my own. And we got a battle coming. You can hear the drum beat in the distance. We got a battle coming. Colin, show them 1 through 5. Here we go. Neutral field favorability. Who would be favored against who this week? Ohio State is still the number 1 team in the country. And I'm going to tell you I disagree with the model slightly here, but not in the way you think. The only thing I would change is I'd have Texas above Ohio State. That's it. Ohio State's still above Oregon. It goes, for the record, for you listening on podcast, it goes Ohio State, Texas, Georgia, Oregon, Clemson. I know what you're looking at. You're looking at the fact that Ohio State just lost to Oregon and they're still a couple of spots ahead of them. I'm going to tell you, not only is this not a hot take, it's not even controversial. I hit FanDuel up earlier today. I said, guys, I know this is going to ruffle a lot of feathers. Do me a favor. Send me what you would make this line on a neutral field. In other words, if this game were played in the Big Ten Championship today, what would the line be? Ohio State's a 2.5-point favorite against Oregon, neutral field today. So there's nothing controversial about this. And yet, watch what happens when I tweet this out later tonight. Clemson is number 5 in the JP poll, by the way, and there will be detachment here. Colin, you can roll 6 through 10 right quick because Miami's number 6. Now, I can tell you, I'm pretty confident talking to the folks at FanDuel, if Miami-Clemson happened today, Miami would be a slight favorite. So the model is a little detached, very slightly, but a little detached from what FanDuel would have on that front. So I am telling you, I got Clemson ahead of Miami because the model disagrees with the odds makers on that front. Ole Miss is still high. Ole Miss is at 7. And that just simply stems from the fact that I don't really care what your record is. I care what you'd be on a neutral field tomorrow. And Ole Miss, Iowa State's undefeated. Like I promise you, 10 out of 10 times Ole Miss would be favored against Iowa State. As much as I may hate that, they'd be favored against Iowa State if they played tomorrow. Bama's at number 8. They have dropped nearly 7 points on their power rating since the Georgia game. So Bama's not playing very well right now. However, the talent profile, which constitutes a power rating to a large degree of this team, is such that they're still number 8. Will that be a low watermark of the year for Alabama, or is their floor even lower than 8? We'll see. Penn State's 9. I told you we were going to be a little detached from the AP poll there. Penn State, Jesse, what are they, 3 right now in the AP? So Penn State's 3 in the AP poll. They're 9 in the JP poll. The gap, just for the record, between 3 and 9 in the JP poll would be 4 points. So there is a little disagreement from an AP voter versus what the power rating system has here. Notre Dame's at number 10. Notre Dame's overrated to me. What are they rated? Well, they're rated number 10. Notre Dame has incurred a lot of injury. Now, as you guys know, if you follow this sort of thing and you follow predictive modeling and whatnot, outside of quarterback, there are no players that are worth a whole lot of points individually. I've sort of disagreed with that philosophy case to case over the years, but I understand it in totality. It does make sense. However, speaking of the word totality, Morrison is now out as well for the season for Notre Dame, and so they have incurred several injuries that individually would not be worth more than a point, point and a quarter, and that's at the very most. But in totality, I think they're worth a lot more than that. And Notre Dame sitting at number 10, I wouldn't have them that high. So that's a model disagreement between me and the computer here. Tennessee's at number 11. Then there's a little bit of drop-off. So there are like 2 3/4 to 3 points drop between where Tennessee is and then where LSU is. And I'm just going to read them here. Tennessee 11, LSU 12, A&M 13, Iowa State 14, USC's 15. The gap between number 12 and number 25 is 5.5 points. So there's a lot of accordion condensing here in this 12 to 25 range to where you could kind of jumble this up and just throw it out there, and in a lot of ways it would make sense. USC still at 15. A lot of people, I assume, will have a problem with that. Why would they drop? We had them 12th last week. They're 15th. Their raw power rating dropped a couple of points, actually. Why would it drop a whole lot, though? They were a 3-point dog. I think they were a little over a field goal dog at home against a team rated higher than them. They lost in overtime, I think. You got exactly what you should get in that matchup. So the model's not going to drop a team for doing what it thinks they should do in a game. Kansas State is number 16. Iowa is number 17. They are 3 points above what their preseason rating was. And we've been betting Iowa. I think we're 4-0 betting Iowa games this year. Maybe we'll hit them again this week. Who knows? I don't know that I've ever said we're just going to ride Iowa because they're a money-making machine recently, but they kind of are. Indiana's 18. Wisconsin has suddenly reappeared in the JP poll, and they're 19. They're back to their original preseason rating. So they lost the quarterback against Alabama. They got blown out by Alabama, and they've sort of righted the ship. And the model's got some supreme Luke Fickell respect right now. It's got Wisconsin 19 and SMU 20. And then we get into just the total abyss here of suspiciousness. Let me put it that way. Louisville's 21. Arkansas is number 22. Utah's 23, without Cam Rising. Florida's 24. Boise is 25. And I just read 5 teams in a row, but I know my audience. I know you guys. A lot of you are listening right now. You're at the gym or you're driving or whatever. You probably didn't even hear all 5 of them because you yelled at some point. So I'm going to say them again. Louisville 21, Arkansas 22. Some of you just yelled again. Utah 23, Florida 24, Boise 25. Florida got a bump, pretty substantial bump after losing last week because that's how power ratings work as opposed to rankings. You saw Florida lose. Yeah, I did too. I saw a 16.5-point dog lead at halftime and lose in overtime on the road. They were 30th last week. We bumped them to, well, I didn't bump them anywhere. The model bumped them to 24th. I hit up FanDuel earlier today about Brigham Young because I don't have them in the top 25. I've got Brigham Young at 30. I just asked them, give me some random stuff. Like, I'm going to take flack for having Arkansas above BYU. I'm going to take some flack for having, like, Florida clearly above Brigham Young. They said both of those matchups would be around a pick 'em right now. So you are not always totally what your record says you are in this world. There is another very interesting team just floating out there. It is Virginia Tech, not Vanderbilt. I got Vandy 41st, by the way. Virginia Tech is 32nd. I don't normally go past the top 25. Virginia Tech is 32nd. And I want to ask you to do something after the show's over. I want you to think about all the teams you've left for dead. Virginia Tech's one of them. Then I want you to go look at their conference standings. And I want you to go look at their remaining schedule. And I want you to just go look at the position they're in. Virginia Tech is the most quiet, well-positioned team in the country right now. All their preseason goals are still there. Ask yourself, who have they lost to? I think they've got one conference loss. They got Clemson still coming to their place later in the season. They went into the bye feeling very good about themselves. I've got them back to their preseason rating or thereabouts. I had them 87.6 to start the year. I've got them 87.8 now. So Virginia Tech, like we thought pretty highly of them coming into the season. In the aggregate, they're rated even a smidge higher than I had them in the preseason. In that course of time, they went below their preseason rating, but they're back. So let's see what they do with it. The JP poll will be very controversial once it hits the open social media market after the show. I wanted to share it amongst ourselves first. I see the live chat over here, and yeah, some of you are feeling Virginia Tech. Right there, should certain things fall into place. That's what Matthew said. That's my feeling, my friend. They're right there if certain things fall into place. Okay,